Call the regular meeting of the Amherst Board of Education to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Yacobozi?
Here.
Mr. Zappa?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mrs. Gillis? Here. Mrs. Snyder? Here.
Okay, this one part. Brian, where are you?
Oh, Brian?
You're up.
Item 4.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Recommendation to adopt the agenda that presented. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented, including all agendas.
So moved. Second.
Sound like Rex and Teresa. Discussion is not roll call, please.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mrs. Snyder? Aye. Mr. Zappa?
Aye.
Mr. Yacobozi?
Aye. Now it's a good report.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the picture, you click on the picture.
This year, we learned to see smiles in people's eyes. Home and school are connected in new and wonderful ways. Sure, some things might look a little bit different this year. But we have amazing teachers who are up to the challenge. And supportive leadership has helped us navigate all the obstacles that have popped up, including opening up the lunchroom to students on campus. So here's a hello from the Power students and staff, including some voices of our students. Here are some kindergartners who just moved from e-campus to on-campus at the semester and are learning all about the rules that keep us safe at Powers. And to let you know that our e-campus students are doing great also.
We love kindergarten.
So tell me now, tell me now that you're back at school here on campus, tell me what you're enjoying about being on campus.
So that my sister doesn't annoy me in this way, and also because I like taking tests.
Yeah? What you enjoyed the math testing we did? What do you enjoy about that?
Because it actually makes your brain actually work hard. Hi, my name is Amelia Springer, and my favorite things to school is when my brother come with me and see my friends and play with them. You did a good job, good job. You did a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now, know that you matter, matter, matter. You did a good job, good job. You did a good job, don't get too down. The world needs you now, know that you matter, matter, matter.
Thank you, school board members. We appreciate you, and you're doing a great job.
All right, thank you, school board members. I'm Brian Tucker, Alex. Good to be back again. Talk to all of you. No school board presentation should go without kids' voices singing, and that was the best thing. So we had that going. A couple of things in there that were interesting. Hopefully you can understand her a little bit. I don't know if you hear what she was saying. She's tired of her siblings at home pulling her hair, and she was just excited about taking tests. And I was kind of shocked. As a kindergartner telling me, or first grader telling me, I can't wait to take another test. I'm like, all right, tell me why. Couple of changes, just to let you be aware of what's gone on in terms of on-campus and e-campus. On-campus at the semester, one kindergarten, one first grade teacher moved from e-campus to on-campus, and we hired an additional on-campus teacher. at kindergarten. The trend would be that more of our younger students came back than our second and third grade students. So, you know, I think there's some natural reasons there where it turns out it's really hard to teach kindergarten and first grade, especially at home. So I think that's not a surprising thing. Another big change, library, art, and music have now returned to their classrooms. Instead of pushing into the classrooms, they're actually getting served by students in their specialist classrooms. And as you can see by the picture today, those are students started checking out books last week. So we figured out all the logistics of how to quarantine books for 3 days. They sit in rotation, they get back into the system. So we're figuring all those things out. And then the cafeteria, now being used to eat lunches. So we're, I don't know, 700 lunches in here last Thursday. So pretty impressive. Or 70% of our kids had lunch, 550 lunches. At eCampus, 1 teacher at K and then 2 teachers at all the other grade levels. The specials are now uploading 1 lesson per week, and now on campus they're seeing kids daily. Monthly, there's supply pickup and drop-offs that happen during the day once, and then in addition there's one after in the evening to make it convenient for families that want to come during the day or aren't able to. And then just want you to know that assessments are kind of, if I'm still throwing one big challenge, assessments are a little tricky. We're doing them. Like they were testing all day today, they're testing the next, all week this week, doing map testing with students. I say tricky only because when you're doing assessments at home, the map test we can do no problem. We bring them in, we give them the test. The daily assessments, challenging to find out who's taking those assessments. We're finding that continues to be a challenge with some of our families. We're not sure who's, you see a lot of hands guiding in and a lot of looking to the side for the right answer. We're still working through those logistics. So, but the reality is, so many challenges with huge opportunities. Last time we were together, I talked to you a little bit about the morning announcements, and you've seen in Mr. Sayers' celebrations about our morning announcements. Continue to have a lot of teachers taking that up now. I think most of the year, the rest of this year, we have teachers who will be taking the lead, so I won't be having any morning announcements. We'll have grade levels that just are taking it over. I think it's going to lead to next year continuing the process and just having teachers who run with it and each get kind of designated a week that they take on. It's picking up momentum. Another opportunity that came about was the lunchroom. We've been starting conversation about how to have a lunchroom. Haven't really got there, haven't figured out all the logistics, and then the power outage happened. And when the power turns out, in a new building, when the power goes out, the elevator stopped working. And until you get the elevator guys to come here and open, reset it, you have no elevators, which meant that day we can't get food upstairs. So I guess we're doing lunch downstairs today. So that became our pilot. We piloted for the rest of that week because we figured we've already done it once. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like. We've been running with it ever since. Playground equipment, little, you know about the election we talked about last time, but what you may not have seen is if you click on the vote. Yeah.
So to the students of Powers Elementary School, hello, my name is Frank LaRose. I serve as the Ohio Secretary of State, which means that I am the Chief Elections Officer for Ohio. So my mission, my job every day is to work with our county boards of elections to make sure that every Ohioan has the opportunity to make their voice heard in free and fair elections, such as the one that we just conducted here a couple weeks ago. Now, you all had an important election as well, and hopefully what process is that when you cast a vote, you're making an important decision. It's a way for a large group of people to arrive at an important decision. And I'm so glad that your teachers and faculty members and staff came up with this opportunity for you all to learn the value of voting. And think about this. In just about 10 years or so, you all will be eligible to become registered voters, hopefully right here in the state of Ohio, and I encourage you to do just that. And by the way, I also encourage you to remind the adults in your life, your parents and grandparents and everyone else that you interact with, how important it is for them to cast a ballot. Ask them to take you to the voting booth or to sit down with you at the kitchen table as they fill out their absentee ballot and have them teach you more about how grown-ups cast their ballots for the important decisions that we make every time we have an election. Now, I know what you've been waiting for, the results of this important election. I want to let you know that there were 944 total votes cast. Solar System got 143, X&O Panel got 160, Zany Mays got 281, and the winner in a landslide, I would say, with 360 votes, is the Marble Run. And I know you guys are going to enjoy this once it gets installed. And so again, 944 total votes, 360 votes went to Marble Run. So you guys were able to come together as a group to make your decision as a group by casting a vote. Now, what that means is that for some of those that voted for something else, they may be a little disappointed, but understand that this is the way democracy works, and this is so important for you all as students to learn all about it. Thanks so much for all that you do. Thanks to your teachers and faculty members for all the work that they do. Take care, everybody.
It was really weird to listen to his words a month later after listening to them last night. I'm like, wow, I've kind of forgotten the specific phrases you used in there and how relevant they were. We're now mailing Christmas card mailing buddies, me and Mr. and myself and Mr. Roses, so keep that going. In addition, if you don't know, just on a little sad note, we're figuring out the opportunity in the current challenge, which is the playground is closed because we have some damage. We're getting repaired, but kids are a little sad right now, so we're figuring out lots of new ways to keep them excited. And our PTO is part of that. They are now working with us to create classroom baggies for every classroom so that we have an indoor Ziploc baggie that's full of like Play-Doh and things that they can do in the indoors. So as part of that, just saying, we can't have volunteers in the building, but PTO is still finding ways to be a part of what we do here at school. PTO meetings are increasing the participants that attend those PTO meetings by having them Zoom. So looking for those opportunities. We still have Santa, the virtual Santa this year. Last one. So just a little summary, kind of talked a little bit earlier about where we're headed. As you may know, we're in the middle of a math adoption. We're working through that process. Our teachers are pretty engaged in it. I think they're excited about where we're headed and that they have the opportunity for input. We're still working on tiered interventions and kind of rethinking how we utilize the adults in the buildings we currently have to make sure that kids are getting the supports they need. And then figuring out in this pandemic, it's so easy to, just as we're charging through everything, to forget that we're teaching in the middle of an international pandemic. And so reminding, like our staff meeting tomorrow, one of the main topics is really just going to be giving ourselves grace and reminding ourselves that, we're teaching through a pandemic and we're doing a great job. Then kind of next year and beyond, there's a lot of acronyms up there, but I know that Nord and I are working closely together to try to align ourselves in some of our language we use with our staff, some of the positive behavior and tiered interventions that we use to make sure that the kids get the supports that they need and that support system kind of transitions up to Nord from us. And then just monitoring growth. We've had conversations about what does that look like? Is this a bubble? Is this growth that's just going to keep going? We know that there's still community building out there. And I'll advocate that our preschool numbers, when we opened it, how long did preschool stay open?
Like 5 minutes.
So we were full in 5 minutes. After the posting was posted, within 5 minutes, all of our preschool for next year is full. Probably tells us there's a whole bunch of other families who would like to take advantage of that. So something for us to keep an eye on as we keep moving forward and how we plan to support them. And with that, I'll open up for questions.
Anybody?
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Well done to your assistant.
She's fantastic.
And then you guys all have a present from our preschool team, because we have grown a lot this year, including in the midst of a pandemic. So that's just a thank you for you guys from our preschoolers.
Thank you. I want to sign in to address the board.
If it's okay, I'd like to introduce one other person at this time, if that's all right.
Of course.
As the board is aware, one of our agenda items this evening is to recommend a new head football coach here at Steele High School. And I thought it might be nice for you to be able to hear from, I'm not sure if it's Casey or Joe or who's going to introduce our new pending your approval, our new football coach, Kenny Briggs. So at this point in time, I'll just turn it over to Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Sayers. Thanks, Board. Wanted to take a moment here. The interview process we went through was very extensive. There's one candidate who continued to excel throughout the entire process. We're fortunate that he teaches in our district at the junior high. I'd like to welcome Kenny Fritz as our next head football coach.
First, thank you guys for being here. Board, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak to some of you guys. Casey, Joe, the rest of the administration staff that selected me, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to earn this position. I'm really looking forward to getting started, guys. Football is a passion of mine, and not just a passion of mine because I love the sport, but I love the opportunity that it gives me to develop young men. And my mantra this whole entire time has been that I want to develop young men. I want to take kids and I want to turn them into men throughout the 4 years that they're in that program. And I want to just continue to develop. I want to win football games, don't get me wrong. And I love winning football games, but I love the integrity of a football team and I love the people that come out of it. I want you guys to see these kids in the community and you can know right away that's a football player. That's a football player. That's a football player. Because of the way they handle themselves, the way that they respect the community. One of the things you'll see that I always talk about now is how we're going to rep Amherst, and how we're going to rep our football team, and everything we do with the perfect rep. It's respect, effort, and purpose. Those are the three things. Everything we do, we respect one another. We respect who we're playing. We respect the coaches respect the players. We coach hard. We don't coach demeaning. The effort, everything we do is 100%. We don't do anything half. Everything we do is full go. We're going to play hard. And like I said, even if it's just fundraising, in the classroom, it's 100% effort. We don't take anything off. We don't take anything for granted. In terms of the P, it's purpose. We don't do anything without a purpose. Right? If you're in the community, help your neighbor out. We do that with a purpose. We're not just going through the motions with it. If we're going to be working out, we do it with a purpose. We're in there, we're going to be constructive about everything we do. Guys, I really, really appreciate this. I'm telling you right now, I can't wait to build something here at Amherst and continue with what Coach Pass left off on. I learned a lot of great things from him last year, and there's a lot of great things that I can take from him and turn into my own. But this is an opportunity that young guys like me don't necessarily get every day. So I intend to seize the moment of it and continue to hopefully make you guys proud, make this community proud. And like I said, my main goal is to turn kids into young men. And that's what I want to do by the time they're done. When they're done with Amherst football, they're going to be ready for society and ready to contribute because of what they went through. Again, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this, and I promise you you're not going to regret it. Thank you.
Since you're there and you're not near anybody, take your mask off. Nobody will recognize you. You've got more hair than I do, so I think.
Not on my face! I can't go facial hair.
Congratulations.
Hey, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Since we had presentations, I won't take much of the board's time this evening. I just want to go over the revenue and expenditure recap that you see in front of you. Jump over to the right-hand margin where we have fiscal year to date, December 20, we're in fiscal 21. Long story short, we received $18,369,000 so far this year as of the end of December. We spent $18,212,000. So we actually have a surplus right now of $156,899. We're doing well this year, even with I think Steve and I have spoken to a number of you, and I know that in the agenda review last week we talked to Mr. Yacobosi about it. But despite additional expenditures, despite pretty static revenues, we are being as persistent as normal with watching our expenditures. So, and you can see along the bottom line from last year, at the end of December, we had $19,148,000 in the general fund. Right now, as of the end of December, $19,283,000. So we're really holding our own. Do you want me to jump right into recommendations?
Please.
So the recommendations this evening, item 8A is the approval of board minutes from the December 14, 2020 regular board meeting. asking for approval of the organization meeting minutes from last Monday, January 11th, 2021, that you approve as a board the December 2020 financials. Item D is the revision to appropriations for 2 federal funds. The Department of Education did some minor reallocations. We lost $500 in the Early Childhood Special Education Fund, 587,9221, but we gained almost $8,500 in the Special Education IDEAP grant, 516,9221. So we will be increasing those appropriations. And then item E, we have fund-to-fund transfers being approved by the board. Only one is a true transfer. The second bullet, it says 0029214. That's actually 022, Fund 229214. That is the remainder of the fall OHSAA contests that we had here in the district. And as is a matter of course, we transfer the remaining funds over to the high school athletic fund. That's the amount of $1,465.06. Now the one above it, being transferred from the 777 fund over to the general fund, it's the 777 fund is a payroll clearing account. An anomaly happened during payroll, the final payroll of December 2020, and the amounts of retirement didn't transfer out of the 777 holding fund. So I must ask the board for permission to transfer that $133,000 over to the general fund. Item F are after the fact purchase orders. These must be approved when exceeding $3,000. I have the latitude to approve those myself. Lorraine County Metro Park District for $3,996. That is for swim lane fees. Connect our regular connections, our wireless connections, and our the software services that we receive from Connect, which is our pay site. Country View Services, there are 3 items here. These were estimates that we learned about just before Christmas break that we had never received in the district. Therefore, we had not produced purchase orders, but now the vendor is telling us that we pay them for the repair of these 3 buses. Item G is a memorandum of agreement with KeyBank for depository services. This happens to be something that needs to be renewed and refreshed every few years, so we're right on schedule for that. Item H is something that you don't see very often. We have Exhibit 8J, which is from our website, that shows all of the 403B and 457B plan providers. So over here on the right, in the smaller print, are 12 403B providers and 1 457 plan provider. What we're asking tonight is that you add Fidelity as one of the 403B plan providers. I'm not sure if in the past the board has ever approved the preferred list of providers, but in adding one, I thought that it would behoove us to have the board acknowledge those that are already being used within our district, and then to add another one. Keep in mind that our 403B and 457B plans must be IRS compliant, and that is why we hired US Omni as the third-party administrator for these plans. So this is IRS compliant document, and this is just the nod to allow our employees to have deductions into the 403B plan provided by Fidelity. And then item H are donations. I'm sorry, I talked a lot more tonight than I usually do.
Any questions for Amy? I'll entertain a motion for items 8A through I.
So,
Second. Teresa? Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Snyder? Aye. Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Zappa? Mr. Yakubowski?
Aye. Mr. Sayers?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Yakubowski. Just 2 or 3 items here. First of all, January is School Board Recognition Month, and you should have at your table there a certificate from the Ohio School Boards Association expressing appreciation. And I want to take this opportunity as well on behalf of our students, our staff, our community, to thank you for your service, your dedication, and your commitment to our school district and to our community. And obviously, the board education is a key component, a key ingredient of our success here in the Amherst School District. So again, on behalf of all these groups, I just want to express my thanks and gratitude as well. So thank you again. Also wanted to provide just a quick enrollment update, only because as you probably remember in November, as we were going through some of the financial things, we had shared that we are about 20 students, at that time, we're about 20 students less in November than what we had last June. As you know, we're in this kind of cycle where we're graduating classes of 310, 315, and we've been right around 250 with our kindergarten classes. So we're losing enrollment that way. But what's happening is we're experiencing more new student registrations. So we actually, since November, have picked up 22 new students just since November. So we are now at 3,660, which puts us 2 students more than what we had last June. So originally our enrollment projections had us kind of bottoming out, if you will, in 2023. Now we're wondering if maybe we've hit that and we're going to start on a steady increase. So these are numbers that we will monitor very carefully, especially as we move through the summer and look at next year to see if this trend continues. But I thought it was an interesting piece of information to share. Again, 22 students just since November. And then the last item I had was just wanted the board to be aware, much like we did with our technology plan, where Mr. Cogdell and Mr. Molmar developed a 5-year technology plan to guide our decision-making and to guide our process as we move forward. Mr. Grimmett and Ms. Ford in our transportation department, we're in the process of doing the same thing with maintenance as well as with our bus and transportation fleet. We have some minivans as well, so those 5-year plans are in the process of being developed, which we think will serve as a good plan tool for us. And I have to say, Tia Ford, our new transportation supervisor, and our head mechanic are just doing a fantastic job of handling short-term issues, but at the same time looking at long-term and what we need to be doing as well. So again, I wanted the board to be aware of that, and once those are complete, certainly submit those for your consideration. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Steve? You're very welcome. Mr. Molnar?
Thank you. I have 2 quick updates. First one, I want to give you an update on our eCampus and on-campus program numbers. As you know, we started the year giving our students and families 2 options, our eCampus program and our on-campus program. We started the year with 74% of our students on campus, which is great, but 26% on eCampus. Well, you also know that we've given our parents and students 3 opportunities within the year to make a transition. The first one was the junior high school first trimester to second trimester transition in November. And then we just came back for winter break with our elementary K through 5 transition time where they can make a choice to go between campuses as well. So as of right now, we've given every student the opportunity to transition back and forth. And we have one final transition period, which is the second and third trimester here in high school, which just opened yesterday. So we're going to be doing that for a goal of a final transition on March 2nd. But real quick, where we're at right now is we're actually only 1 percentage point difference. So we're at right now 75% on campus, 25% e-campus. But it is a little bit different between elementary and high school and junior high. As Mr. Tepper mentioned, more students in the elementary desire to come back on campus for obvious reasons. So in K through 5, we right now have 79% of our students on campus and 21% e-campus. So we're almost at 80% K through 5. Junior and high school right now, we're at 72% on campus and 28% e-campus. And most of that change really was the high school. We have quite a few high school students who decided to go from on-campus to e-campus throughout the first trimester, second trimester switch for various reasons, when it was coming to classes, etc. LCCC classes possibly so. So that's where we're at right now with those numbers. And again, the last and final transition for the junior high school is open right now. And I think midnight on February 7th is everyone's decision if they want to change campuses is coming up. The other thing real quick I wanted to tie in with that is, as Mr. Tepper mentioned, testing. It's not a top priority here in the district, but it is important. We always assess where students are, where we want them to be. And every year, as you know, we give a third grade reading test in the fall. And as you can imagine, everyone in the state expected the percentages of passing rate for that fall test to drop because of COVID, loss of instruction over the spring, changes in the fall. And there was a drop in pretty much every district. We had an 8% drop, decrease in our percentage, which I thought was really, really good. Wasn't too bad. And in fact, when I look at the comparison around the county, and even in Cuyahoga County a little bit, our school district decreased the least. So our 8 percentage point was the best that I could find in our area. Another district was 9%, and details. But some districts were 10, 15, some districts were a decrease of 20, 22%. And the reason I point that out is because I think it absolutely reflects our decision as a board and administration to provide on campus and provide as much structure and instruction in normal natural settings for kids that in the fall that we provide for them. Also going back to the spring where when all of it hit, our administration and teachers just really rose to the occasion and said, you know, things might change and be different, but obviously we're going to focus on educating kids as much as possible. So I think those decisions absolutely reflect that our students are doing very well compared to other districts and what we see from those tests. So that's all I have for my report.
Any questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike. Mrs. Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Angelosi. Just a few things on my end as well. You'll notice that under educational recommendations, item B, there's an MOU for New Leaf Counseling Services. What this is, New Leaf Counseling is not a new agency around Lorraine County, but they just opened an office here in Amherst. And so it's just an additional partnership for our district to provide another layer of support for our kids and our families. We work very closely with the Mental Health Addiction and Recovery Board, the Lorraine County Board of Mental Health, as well as Violence Counseling and Recovery. And what this additional partnership does is just allow one more option for our counselors and for our families when reaching out to get services for our kids. I'm excited to tell you that for Second Harvest, because of the way our program has grown as far as community outreach, in the past previous months, our staff have had to go pick up Second Harvest food drops out of Lorraine at the ESC. And now that our program has grown to the point that it has, we're going to be getting our own drops. They're actually going to be dropping them off. Second Harvest is going to be bringing them here to the high school, and we'll be able to distribute directly from there. Also wanted to share, Mr. Tepner and Corey Mazzego have touched on this for our preschool registration. Our peer model registration, that is, registration opened last Friday, and our peer model slots were full within 5 minutes. That registration, though, is going to continue to be open as we have a waiting list, and I'm sure Ms. Engel can tell you we've filled spots throughout the years as things have come open. So if families are still interested in our program, please don't be deterred by the fact that the spots are filled. Things happen. A lot of things can happen before the start of school, and we may still have spots that come open. So I encourage families that are interested to fill out the registration that's online and get added to that waiting list if they're interested. So that's what I have in my report this month.
Sarah, any questions? Sarah?
How many spots, Ms. Engel?
I'm sorry, that were filled, or that we filled for peer models? Yes. We have 32 peer model spots. We have 16 in our between our 2 morning classes and 16 between our 2 afternoon classes.
So and for our peer models, those are our students, children have to be 4 by August 1st. And the reason we have peer models is because we believe in an integrated preschool program, so that these children can then provide models for our preschool students with special needs as far as communication, providing activities, and so it's both the students with special needs and our peer models working together in the classroom, to be integrated. What's that?
What's the ratio?
What's the ratio is 8 and 8. So there'll be, in the classes that have the 16 kids, there's 8 students with special needs and 8 peer models.
Anything else? Mr.
Thank you, President. I don't have a report because the JVS will hold their first board meeting tomorrow night. Mr. President.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Anything else for reports?
No.
Okay, Steve, it's up to you.
Thank you, Mr. Gagliose. Moving into personnel recommendations, I know the board has had an opportunity to review the agenda items. I did want to highlight item F, which you can see is a recommendation to grant Kenny Briggs a supplemental contract as our new head football coach. I'm very excited. I can't tell you how excited we are. I think his energy and his enthusiasm is going to be contagious. Not only with our student athletes, our football players, but within our schools and within our community. So very, very excited about this recommendation and the future of our football program. With that, I think we are going to break out the last 2 items in the personnel section. So at this time, I would like to recommend approval of items 11A through 11I.
Your motion? Mark, second.
Second.
Teresa, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Zappa?
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder? Mr. Yacobozi?
Aye.
And then the last 2 items there, I did want to highlight item J in particular. This is a revised MOU with OPSI. As you probably recall, you saw this on last month's agenda. And we have simply made the change so that the incentive would not only be available to support staff members who retire at the end of May, but also for those that retire effective at the end of June. Because we do have some support staff who complete their contracts, for example, bus drivers, teachers' aides, study hall monitors, those types of positions prior to the end of May. But yet we have other positions, for example, secretaries who have contracted work days in June. So that was my oversight with the first MOU that was presented. So we wanted to come back and recommend that revision. And with that, I would like to recommend approval of items 11J and 11K.
Your motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mark, any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Zappa? Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mrs. Snyder? Mr. Yacobozi?
Abstain. Case for recommendation, Steve?
Yes, 5 items here. Just wanted to highlight the open enrollment recommendation. Pending your approval, what this will allow us to do is all of our existing open enrollment students who are already enrolled in the Amherst schools, we can begin that process of finding out who's interested in returning for next year. And then we talked at our administrative meeting last week we're going to continue to monitor the enrollment, and then by the end of March, mid-March, end of March, we'll have our staffing completed, or our staffing plan, I should say, completed for 2021-22. So around April 1st, we'll make decisions in terms of how many and what buildings, if any, where we would accept new open enrollment students. So wanted to clarify that and recommend approval of items 12A through 12.
Is there a motion? Second. Is there a second? Rex, discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Snyder? Aye. Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mr. Zappa?
Aye.
Mr. Yakovozzi?
Aye. Next, Steve.
Yes, just two items here. The one item, of course, you've seen the site agreements in previous agendas, hosting postseason tournaments, but item A is a little bit different this year. Typically, we place our orders, this is for school student handbooks, and typically that's something that happens in May or June, but the company wanted a commitment now that we plan to go with them for next year in order to lock in pricing and those types of things. So this is a little bit out of the ordinary for this time of year. But again, this gives them our commitment that yes, we plan to place an order with you in June. So wanted to clarify that as well and recommend items 13A and 13B.
Mr. Yakovozzi, if I can add something about the school day books, since this is for a future year purchase, we have opened up the Munis financial system to be able to implement future year requisition. So as the board approves it, then tomorrow they can initiate a requisition for this. It'll go through the regular approval process and then be posted against next year's budget.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion? Mark, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Zappa?
Aye.
Mrs. Snyder? Aye. Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mr. Yakovozzi?
Aye. Anything else come before the board? Quick question.
Yes.
Doing well?
Yes. This is what, our fourth year? This is actually our fifth fiscal year with Munis. It's going pretty well. It's a really good enterprise resource planning software. It's just a lot different than what we had before, so we learn every day.
Okay. One more question for Brian. Is this building living up to your expectation? How's the building doing, this new building?
Fantastic.
Going well?
It's having to be used in ways that was never intended to be used, but it's an amazing building. You constructed a building that we are very proud of, and we're working hard to keep it, make sure that it looks as good at the end of the year as it does at the start of this year.
And the things that we've been able to accomplish this year during the pandemic would never have been able to be done in a different building. So, I mean, our teachers really we're still using our common spaces as areas for kids to learn. And our teachers, as you have the opportunity to walk around our building, our teachers have expanded outside of their classrooms, which had we been in the other building, wouldn't have been a possibility. So we are definitely grateful for this new building.
Counting the number of steps you're taking a day to make the rounds?
My Fitbit really loves me, so wants new batteries quite frequently.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to entertain a motion then to go into executive session. Discuss employment dismissal, discipline, motion, or compensation of employees, no action taken.
Second.
Discussion, not roll call.
Mrs. Snyder? Aye. Mrs. Gillis? Aye. Mr. Engel?
Aye.
Mr. Zappa?
Aye.
Mr. Yakovozzi?
Aye.